Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. It is freaking Wednesday, July 3rd, and Joe Biden. Good old Joey. The geriatric, the puppet, the child sniffer, the guy that hits a golf ball backwards. Yes, that really did happen. Falls up a flight of stairs, looks for dead people in the crowd, converses with dead people to the point where at first we were just thinking he heard them. Like he's just hearing a voice like he's schizophrenic. No. Joe is seeing dead people and conversing with them as well. He fights with his teleprompter every day. The teleprompter, most insane statistic in all of politics. The teleprompter's undefeated going on 4 years, and I don't think anything's going to change, folks. This guy has a terrible debate with Donald Trump, and it's just chalked up to be, well, I had the cold. It was the cold medicine that did it in for me. Folks, this guy is by far, not even close, the worst president in American history. Patriots, it's great to be back with you on this fine Wednesday morning, and a hell of a show yesterday. Not just one, but 2 live streams. We are doing it big, folks, and it's all thanks to you for showing up each and every stream bright and early in the morning, and then you're like, hell, we want more, baby. Let's show up for the White House press briefing and listen to Karine Jean-Pierre give her non-answers to the press. Well, folks, a lot of cleanup still happening with this debate. I mean, this is really an unbelievable thing going on with the White House on the spinning they're trying to do. And they're doing it on a multifaceted front. And what I mean by that is not only were you hearing the messaging yesterday from Karine Jean-Pierre on the spin of going, hey, we acknowledge everything you guys are seeing. We get it. We're not going to take that away from you. We understand your feelings, and we don't want to take away that either. But what we also want to mention is he's just not as quick as he used to be. Yeah, he had a bad night. He had a cold. Well, was he on any like medication that's going to like throw him off? You know, like maybe some cold medication? No, not on anything. He just had a bad night. You know, he's just not as quick as he was. He's not as sharp. All the while they spent 4 years telling us day in and day out how sharp this guy is, to the point where we would show video clips of how he's not sharp, on how he's falling all over the place, fumbling with his words, getting lost, meandering around, wandering around, and then you tell us that it's all fake, that what people like me and other outlets show you is not real. Are you serious? So that's her charade that she did yesterday, and we got clips. We'll show you the highlights, just small little tidbits, 25 seconds here, a minute long here, and we got a bunch of other news to cover as well. But then you have Ian Sams, who's part of the White House Council, still coming out yesterday and saying the dude's sharp. Then you have his spokesperson coming out and saying he's sharp as well. Don't worry about it. Hey, let's not focus on his cognitive decline. Folks, it's a wild show today. It's a multifaceted front. Depending on where you're at in terms of watching what outlet, you're going to get a different messaging from the White House, as if they don't even meet with each other. And speaking of meetings, guess who's running the show with Joe Biden now? It's not just Kamala. No. That psycho lady's doing a terrible job and has been for quite some time. It's his son, Hunter Biden, is showing up in the meetings, folks, with Joey. He's escorting him around the White House. Hunter Biden, the guy that, was being looked under the hood by Shokin in Ukraine for the company of Burisma Holdings, of which Hunter Biden was a business partner of. Yeah, that guy. The guy that sat there and lied on his registration form when he won a gun. When he got a gun. Yeah, that guy. The guy that sat there and smoked, crack cocaine off a dog's ass. Yeah, that guy. The guy that sat there and snorted cocaine off a prostitute in a nice shag rug. Yeah, that guy right there. So we got a full show for y'all, and I see y'all in the live chat, baby. I see ya. And by the way, we figured out the technical difficulties. We're working with Rumble now, baby. So Rumble is the main hub that outsources now to YouTube as well as Twitter. So great cooperation and coordination with Rumble, walking me through taking care of that yesterday. So that's where that first live ad read took place, folks. God bless Rumble. They're great. I'm telling you what, their customer service, them taking care of their people, bar none. That's why I say show some love over at Rumble. Follow us over there if you can. Greatly appreciated, because you know what the YouTube gods are doing to us. You know that they're doing some foosery over there. Rumble ain't doing that. Let me give you a perspective how great Rumble is and how non-foosery stuff is going on over there. We have about 400 followers on Rumble. To put that in perspective, our videos over there on Rumble get around 300 to 1.2 thousand. So 1,200. We get anywhere from 300 to 1,200 views a video with 400 followers on Rumble. YouTube, we get those views with 60,000. We know what YouTube's doing. We all see behind the scenes of what's happening, but you guys are all there to support us, baby, because we ain't going to let them win, are we? Hell no, baby. I see you, Pat. I see you, Andrew, Rich, Paul, Michael, Pat, Danielle. We got y'all in here. Jeffrey's always in here. Miriam's always there. Jennifer, see ya. Jennifer's a longtime follower of the Bald Brad Show. I see y'all in here with your badges. Look at that. I love it. We got a bunch of people over at Rumble. We got Willie. We got Crowley. Crowley's a new follower, folks. Give Crowley a shout out. Crowley1303 is a new follower as of yesterday. Couldn't be more than happy to have this man with us. Regarding the code Studio 40, you guys should be able to go to the website and it should pop right up. I looked at it yesterday, but there was also an error, I believe, on my end. I'm guessing for some reason, or it's not working with Edge, the software that I use for streaming. So, it said rejected. So I looked on the back end. I think it was more of my fault. It was my first time doing it, and I think it kind of just got all screwed up. So, I'm a boomer. Okay, that's what Shib calls me. I'm a boomer. But let's get into the news, huh? We've had enough of me rambling, ranting, and raving. So here we are. And there's a new CBS poll coming out from President Trump with a 3-point post-debate swing over Biden. Now, before you start ranting and raving, there's a caveat to that, because remember, there's a margin of error that's involved in these polls. Now, these margin of errors are predicated usually on what's called a confidence level, 90%, 95, 99. I'm not sure which one they used here, but what that means is, in statistics, we can run an observational study, or basically a study that they're conducting here, asking people, who are you favoring to win? Who do you want to win? Who are you voting for? Yada, yada, yada. And we could sit there and run a calculation based on, hey, we're 90% confident that these numbers are correct between a certain interval that has a certain margin of error. And that's what you're going to see here. The margin of error is kind of high. It's about 4.4%, I believe. But check this out.
Growing pressure on President Biden from inside his own party after last week's very poor debate performance. And we now have a new CBS News poll. While the presumptive nominees are functionally tied in our national poll, it shows a shift towards former President Trump. Now, our last poll had President Biden leading very slightly. The president was also in battleground states in the last poll. Now he is behind by 3 points, though that is still within the margin of error. This comes as the White House offers multiple explanations for the president's debate performance. Growing pressure on President Biden from inside his own party after last week's very poor debate performance. And we now have a new CBS News poll. While the presumptive nominees are functionally tied in our national poll, it shows a shift towards former President Trump.
Okay, so I said 4.4%, 2.2. 2.2%. So it's probably a high confidence level, meaning they're dead even, you guys. Like, even after that debate performance, they're still dead even.
Trump. Now, our last poll had President Biden leading very slightly. The president was also in battleground states in the last poll. Now he is behind by 3 points, though that is still within the margin of error. This comes as the White House offers multiple explanations for the president's debate performance. Growing pressure on President Biden from...
Holy smokes, Brian Mack, longtime supporter of the show. I'm canceling my membership so I could take it to Rumble. God bless you, sir. We would love to have you over at Rumble. Rumble takes care of us over there, folks. Let me tell you, if you want to cancel your membership over at YouTube and transfer it to Rumble, more power to you. Don't give these people your money no more. Let me tell you. Now that we're set up, we got a nice home over there. It's honestly, it's been liberating. It's been freaking liberating. And I really am. I'm hyping them up because they're taking care of us over there, folks. They're taking care of us. So now that this debate is over, they're going to do another one. And I'm going to explain here what the media spin's going to be. So they spent 4 years telling us that Joe Biden's sharp, right? He's fit. He can hold office. He can do everything. The guy could fly. Well, now with all the footage we have in conjunction with a live debate where there was no editing, where they can't say there's cheap fakes as well as deep fakes, what they're going to do is slowly pull back on the gas the more and more they see that Joe Biden's not going to drop out. One, he can't, to be quite frank. He already has the delegates. He already has the people that are already kind of sworn in to take care of him in terms of, hey, this is who we have as far as the Democratic nominee. So they're going to pull off the gas a little bit as time goes on, closer to the next debate. The reason for that is I have a theory. I think what's going to happen here is Joe is not going to spend 1 week prepping for this next debate. I think he's going to spend weeks prepping for this next debate. One of the ways to do that is to chauffeur him out in front of the press, answer their questions off the cuff, get the guy more comfortable, kind of soup him up on whatever drugs they're getting. So from now until the debate, this dude is basically doing debate preps. And that is why I think not only do they want to get him out in front of the press, because what more damage can be done? He's already set the bar so low to where if he just goes out and answers a few questions, hey, that's a success for the president. Well, now he's going to show up the next debate. They're pulling off the gas. Well, now they can transition their messaging in, hey, well, it must have been a bad night. I guess he doesn't have Alzheimer's. I guess he doesn't have dementia. I guess there's nothing wrong. I think I just had a bad night. And just forget about all those news stories you heard for months about this guy being deranged. He's not with us. He can't even tell us the answers to simple questions. Well, I think that's what's going to take place. And, leave it to the media to pull a charade like that. They've done it before. So the media is suddenly realizing Biden is addled. Now they tell us, no, we have been telling you. We have been telling you that Joe Biden hasn't been with us for quite some time. Like, I don't know, since before he started running for president. There's always talks, and we always talked about this on the show, is that people were looking for track marks when Joe Biden was campaigning in 2020. This isn't new that we are telling you he's deranged. He was deranged before when he was on the campaign trail. He would get lost. He was wandering off. He was still getting his ass kicked by the teleprompter. He was a little bit sharper, a little bit. But this whole idea now that they're running, well, now they tell us that he's old and he's a geriatric and that the White House is being used as an old folks home. Like, what? No, we've been here. The Patriots have been here. They're with us. They understand what's going on. Just Jen, welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Thank you for joining us over at Rumble. I'm glad you're on Rumble now. About time. Good, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. God bless y'all. Yeah, we have the best community, man. We freaking really do. Who else? Who else knows all their freaking subscribers and followers? I don't know. I mean, I get that they have 100,000 viewers, but hey, you know what? That's why you want to get in early, baby, because we're going to know each other, and we do know each other. Well, you had yesterday, Biden campaign in crisis. A lot of clips here, folks. Long show today. Buckle up. CNN is still pushing the charade that Joe Biden's under pressure. Campaign's struggling. Democratic Party's in a frenzy.
This is a live look at the White House. Can you see inside the windows to see what the discussion is in there today? No, but there is a lot we are standing by for to see what happens today, like 6 days after the presidential debate and the Democrats' dam of support for President Biden showing real cracks. There are calls for more transparency around his health, calls for him to step aside, and calls for his VP, Kamala Harris, to step in. And those calls are growing louder. In hours, President Biden will have lunch with the vice president. We also know the White House will soon hold an all-staff phone call. And there's also potentially a watershed moment today when Biden is meeting with a group of Democratic governors, some already expressing real concern. This is a live...
Sound the alarms. Get everybody on the phone. Joe's going to fix it. There is insane reporting coming out that the staffers are freaking out behind closed doors because, as we mentioned yesterday, and honestly, many, many months ago, hell, I would say well over a year ago, we were covering the fact, hell, I can even cite the source, Axios back in the day was talking about how Joe Biden can only work from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the time shifted. That time was echoed by his previous White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, on MSNBC, that they couldn't get the guy up in the morning, that he can't sit there and actually do a full day's work. But he's sharp. He's going to handle the problems, folks. He's really going to sit there and act as president the next 4 years if you were to reelect him. The guy's going to get the job done, but he tells the truth. It's such bullshit. So Biden's team allegedly, I guess, cut his debate prep time by 2 days. So he didn't even do a week. They cut his debate prep time by 2 days. Forget this. So he can get some rest.
The New York Times this morning is taking a look at President Biden in the weeks and months before his debate performance. The paper reports, quote, Mr. Biden was drained enough from the back-to-back trips to Europe that his team cut his planned debate preparation by 2 days so he could rest at his house. In the weeks and months leading up to the debate, several current and former officials and others who encountered him behind closed doors noticed he increasingly appeared confused or listless or would lose the thread of conversations. This is all from the New York Times. The paper continues, quote, like many people his age, Mr. Biden, 81, has long experienced instances in which he mangled a sentence, forgot a name, or mixed up a few facts, even though he could be sharp and engaged most of the time. But in interviews, people in the room with him more recently said the lapses seem to be growing more frequent, more pronounced, and more worrisome. The Times notes the occurrences, quote, seem more likely when he was in a large crowd or tired after a particularly bruising schedule. The New York Times this morning.
Wow, man. It's not like, again, it's not like this is coming from Fox News. This is MSNBC, CNN that's covering this stuff. But be careful. Usually we are right, folks. Usually we get it ahead of time. I think the media, once they find out that Joe Biden is going to be the nominee, they're going to sit there and get behind this guy. So, yeah, the gas pedal might be going now, but they're going to let off. They still got many months here, and the news cycle's quick, and people tend to forget really quickly on how the media treated Joe Biden so greatly. Now they're treating him the way that he should be treated, as a geriatric, as a guy that's not all there. But like I said, they're going to get behind him again, and I think that's what's going to happen here. I think he's going to go in the next debate. He's just going to stand there. Maybe not mumble as much, but he's going to have somewhat of a solid performance, and they're going to get behind it as if all the stuff you're seeing never even took place or happened. So now Biden has his spokespeople coming out saying, well, people don't have to worry about Joe Biden abusing any sort of power because you had all those Supreme Court rulings that just came out last Friday that everybody was talking about over the weekend. And so he's saying Joe Biden's holier than thou. This is Ian Sams, White House counsel, speaking on behalf of Joe Biden.
And President Biden said last night, you know, people don't have to worry about him abusing this power. People know that he has the wisdom, character, and judgment to do this job the right way. He's done it for the last 3.5 years. And President Biden said last night.
You guys, people don't have to worry about him abusing his power. Ian, just a question. What about the student loan debt forgiveness that the Supreme Court said that he couldn't do because it was an overreach of the executive branch, but yet he went and did it anyways? What about that? What about him using all these executive actions to sit there and impose regulations and tell states what they can and can't do, especially when it comes to illegal immigration. What about him abusing his power of not holding the office of the presidency to a standard of which he took an oath of office for? And what I mean by that is executing the laws in the books to protect our borders and protect American citizens. What about abusing that type of power? What about abusing his power to go after his political opponents like Donald Trump for not paying a parking ticket on time? What about abusing that type of power? What about abusing the power when he was VP with Barack Obama to sit there and utilize the IRS like he just did most recently to go after, I don't know, people on the other side of the aisle like conservatives and Republicans? What about that abuse of power, Ian? What about the abuse of power to sit there and try to implement certain regulations on our Second Amendment rights to, I don't know, carry firearms, which was our God-given right? What about the abuse of power to sit there and go after our First Amendment rights by trying to impose the Ministry of Truth to tell us what is misinformation, disinformation, and remove conservative Republicans off social media? What about the abuse of power to work in conjunction with big tech companies like we see with social media, like we saw with Twitter, like we saw with YouTube, like we saw with Facebook, to sit there and use it as a weapon to silence conservatives, Republicans all across the country in the 2020 election? What about the abuse of power utilizing the intelligence community like the CIA, that apparatus, and have people sign off on the fact that the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't real, even though we know it was, and the fact that that moved and swung 17% of the voters away from Donald Trump or just any top candidate out there and moved Joe Biden into the office of the presidency? How about those abuses of power that I just pulled off the top of my head right now? But you don't want to talk about that, can you? The media don't want to question him on any of that. They don't want to bring those up in the debate, but they'll be sure to bring up Donald Trump's trials. They'll make sure to bring up the fact that Donald Trump's a felon. They'll make sure to bring up the fact of all these negative things about Donald Trump. And then some conservatives, Republicans said, hey, well, the CNN moderators did a great job. We didn't say that here on the show. I didn't think they did that great of a job for CNN standards. Absolutely. Yeah, good. They showed up and asked questions. But the problem was a lot of those questions already were biased in the sense of asking January 6th that took place, I don't know, 4 years ago. Hey, your handling of COVID, all these things. But they don't want to talk about the Hunter Biden laptop, really. They don't want to move further in depth of, hey, why are you receiving all this money from other countries? Hey, why was cocaine found in the White House? They don't want to ask all those questions. No, because they got to keep it. They got to keep the story on Trump and how he's a terrible guy and how he's a terrible president. He's the best president, folks. Trump 2024. Haven't had enough coffee yet. Good rant. Thanks, Willie. All right, well, so Joe Biden admitted something to his private fundraiser donors. So Biden admitted during a private fundraiser this week that he was so exhausted during his debate with former President Donald Trump that he nearly fell asleep on stage. Why would you admit that to anybody? Why would you think that's a good idea? Yeah, man, totally exhausted that I actually almost fell asleep on stage. The remarks from Biden, who was only able to speak for 6 minutes. This dude can only do 6 minutes, which I actually believe, because when he came out and talked about the Supreme Court cases, he was only able to do 4 minutes and 2 seconds. 4 minutes and 4 seconds. This guy can't get out there. They can't keep chauffeuring this guy out. So at the event, some of his administration has sought to portray him as energetic, correct? That's what we heard for 4 years. Karine Jean-Pierre stood on that podium numerous times. We covered it, going, yeah, he's sharp. We can't even keep up with him. She echoed the same thing during yesterday's White House press briefing, and we called her out on it live, going, how can you sit there and say, yeah, he's just not where he used to be. Yeah, he's older. The fight's not that much into him anymore. But then you're going to say, nah, he's super energetic. Yeah, we couldn't keep up with him. How did she phrase that in yesterday's White House press briefing, if you don't recall what she said? She talked about the fact that he went out to a Waffle House after the debate and was doing speeches. He was doing meet and greets, talking to the American people because he knows their kitchen table issues. And she said, we all wanted to go home as his staffers, but Joey wanted to keep going. We could barely keep up with him. Don't know if y'all remember that one. Quote, I decided to travel around the world a couple of times shortly before the debate. I didn't listen to my staff, and then I almost fell asleep on stage. No kidding. No, seriously, man, I almost fell asleep. It was bad. I was sick, too. That's why my performance was terrible. He apologized for his disastrous performance, but maintained that it was critical for him to win the election, adding that his excuse for his poor performance was not an excuse, but an explanation. Yeah, sure it was, Joey. Sure it was. So, news tip, Biden tries to explain debate performance as a private fundraiser in Virginia. He only spoke for about 6 minutes. He was tired, you guys. He was flying all around the world. Well, that's why I led with the story of the fact that, no, they cut his debate prep short by 2 days so that he could recover and so he can get some rest. And what you're going to see is a bunch of lies from the media here saying, oh, he had a cold, but he didn't have any cold medicine in him. Oh, he wasn't feeling well. Well, so we had to sit there and, make sure that we gave him 2 extra days of sleep and rest. But then he's going to come out saying, oh, I was tired, I was exhausted, and I was traveling around the world, as if he didn't go to Camp David for a week. You want to know who should have been exhausted? Donald Trump. Hand to God, that guy. I'll be honest, I don't think I could have done, and I really am being honest, I'm kind of out of shape, but I don't think I could have done what Donald Trump did and have been that sharp in the debate. The reason why I say that dude was doing campaign rallies the entire time, not much debate prep, virtually at all. Joe Biden had 16 advisors with him at Camp David to debate prep him. Donald Trump maybe had his kids. Furthermore, the guy was doing rallies. He was doing fundraisers all in the same day, by the way. He was going to dinners, meeting people. He was doing meet and greets with the American public. The dude sat there and flew in and basically walked into the building and did a debate with Joe Biden, and not only destroyed Joe Biden, he destroyed the entire Democratic Party. All in 90 minutes after that entire day. And the dude went out after and partied, woke up in the morning and played a round of golf. I'm just being honest. I don't know if I could have done it. I really don't. So like I said, they're coming out, you guys, and they're saying he was exhausted, even though he was holed away for a week. This is the lady that sat there. You're seeing her. We've seen her before. She sat there and said that Joe Biden was sharp. He's done more than any sitting president in American history. That's her words. Well, here we are, her speaking on behalf of Joe Biden again, saying, well, yeah, exhausted. He just needed rest. It wasn't a good night.
President Biden has made it very clear. How many times does he have to say it, that he did not have his best night? He said it at a fundraiser last night in McLean, Virginia, that he was tired. You've noted on the show, Mika, many times that, he traveled twice around the world. He was exhausted. President Biden has made it very clear. How many times does he have to say it, that he did not have his best night? He said it at a fundraiser last night in McLean, Virginia, that he was tired. You've noted on the show, Mika, many times that, he traveled twice around the world.
Okay. All right. I just want to hear her say that he traveled twice around the world, and that was the reason why. Again, she's lying because he came back for a week, lady. A week at Camp David. Luxury. Like, we would all love to sit there and wine and dine at Camp David, have full-fledged service, people cooking on our behalf, making our beds. He has mates. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't even do his own dry cleaning. The dude probably doesn't even shower and bathe himself. He probably has somebody sitting there doing wet baths for him or whatever. He can't get out of bed. He works from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on a good day. And you're going to sit there and push this whole thing of like, oh, well, he was just exhausted because he was traveling around the world speaking on behalf of the American people. No, he was making us look weak is what he was when he was traveling around the world. And that's why when he sat there, I was talking to the paratroopers. Joe, you were wandering off. You left. Everybody else in the G7 was on. Where's Joe? Where the hell did Joe, where are you at? God damn it, Joe. So here she is again saying, please stop talking about Biden's cognitive impairment. Please.
I think it's just getting a little silly here that we're talking about one night in this presidential campaign where, yes, he had a bad night. But why are we letting that, continue to make the news about what's at stake in this race? I think it's, again,
everybody keeps saying, oh, well, it's just one night. It's not just one night. Where are we getting off on this idea that it's one night? It's been for over 4 years, lady. It's not one night. And Karine Jean-Pierre pushed this yesterday, and it fell more in line with Jackie Heinrich's question, where it's like, you sit there and say, hey, these are all cheap fakes, that we're editing videos, we're doing this and that. But it wasn't just about one night. It's about his entire presidency of all the footage and all the gaffes, and they're not even gaffes, they're just cognitive declines, of this guy falling apart. But you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, it was a one-off. We don't want to take away what you said, but hey, it was just a bad night. He was exhausted from his trip around the world. No, it wasn't at all. And that's why we have endless footage. And so, as I mentioned, here's CNN talking about that he's actually pivoting to blaming on travel. So before mid-debate, it was about a cold. Then it was about, hey, you know what? He's exhausted now. It's not about his cognitive decline. Look at the spinning that they're doing already.
Apparently, the president apologized to everyone in the room, saying this is not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And he blamed the extensive foreign travel that he did in the lead up to the CNN debate for his poor performance. Just a reminder for everyone, he did go to France for the D-Day anniversary, and then he turned right back around and went to Italy for the G7 summit. And he told the room, I didn't listen to my staff. So the suggestion there being his staff did not think this was a good idea. And then he apparently said, I almost fell asleep on stage. I just want to unpack this new explanation for a second, as the explanation for why his debate performance was so bad. I find it a little bit puzzling, and frankly, I'm not sure that a lot of people are going to find this reassuring. If anything, some folks might hear this and be, even more concerned. Yes, there were 2 foreign trips in the lead up to the June 27th CNN debate, but he returned from Italy on June 15th. The debate, again, was on June 27th. So we're talking about roughly 12 days in between when he was back in the States. And remember, a part of those 12 days, about a full week, he actually spent with his advisors at Camp David for the sole purpose of really focusing on debate prep. So why is the president falling asleep on the debate stage at the hours of 9 p.m. to 10:30?
Great question. Great question from CNN. CNN actually doing their jobs for a little bit in time. Wow, remarkable. So they can tell the truth somewhat, folks. We're not going to give them too much credit over here. And again, I see you all moving over to Rumble. I got to love it. Big Dog 72 is now a supporter over at Rumble. I'll try to get some badges and stuff set up over there. We're still trying to transfer everything over and show Rumble some love. But YouTube, if you want to stay over there, I have Rumble. I can see all the chat on where you guys are at. We're over at Twitter as well. I'm pretty active on Twitter, so if you want to follow me over there, please head over there and show that a follow as well. So just in case if everything goes down, we're everywhere. So Democratic lawmakers are now calling on Biden to step down, which we've known. That's not anything new. But we have people coming out and saying, look, our constituents, like on a 10-1 margin, want Biden gone. They're basically saying, dude, I don't have anybody in my area that actually wants you to stay in office, or at least to run again. So you got this Lloyd, was it Doggett? Is that how you say his name? Who became the first current Democrat office holder to publicly call on President Joe Biden to step down as the party's presidential nominee, said his constituents overwhelmingly want to get rid of Biden as the party's nominee. I mean, we don't need to go any further. That's all I wanted to bring to you. The fact that Democrats are now going, I don't have anybody, and that's who you're supposed to represent. That's where the democracy comes in. Remember, we're a republic. The democracy comes in is that we want to elect people to basically speak on our behalf and represent us on our behalf. And so we're going to show for this person out and do so. And good on him for saying, look, my constituents just don't want you, man. And that's who I speak for. I don't speak for myself. I speak for the people that elected me to represent them. So at least good on that guy for calling out Biden. But it should have came about 4 years ago when you should have never voted for him in the first place, Democrats. Isn't it remarkable? And I said this yesterday's show. We're supposed to take all these Democrats seriously coming up this November, you guys. Remember, all these people that voted for Joe Biden, and then we had to watch Joe destroy our country for the last 4 years. And mind you, about 40% of them at least are still going to sit there and vote for Joe Biden back in office, minimum, to destroy our country even further for another 4 years, like really just grind it into the ground. Yeah, we're supposed to listen to them. Yeah, for the next 4 months. So they're going to come out of the woodworks again. Remember, they sat there and burned down our cities. They sat there and took over entire blocks like Chaz and Chap back in the day. Y'all remember that? Black Lives Matter? Remember Antifa going after journalists and conservatives, Republicans? You guys remember that stuff? Where they're burning down Wendy's, right? Blaming it on the police officers, doing all these things. Yeah, no, that's going to come back again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, billions of dollars of damage is done. Nobody in trouble. Remarkable, right? January 6th, you go buy a hot dog about 20 blocks away for your kid. Well, you're behind bars now because Joe Biden saw you wear a MAGA hat at a hot dog stand on January 6th. Isn't that just great? Or you don't pay a parking ticket on time and now you're getting a grand jury named Donald Trump after you, Unbelievable. Donald Trump at a grand jury for freaking not doing paperwork correctly. But don't worry, you guys. He's not going to abuse his power. He's not going to. What do you mean? He's not going to abuse it. Come on. All right. So Biden needs naps. Admin won't let White House doctor talk and denies he's taking specific meds. So that actually came from yesterday's White House press briefing, which we'll get to in just one moment. I promise. We got the highlights for you, folks. Just the highlights. Those who access or have access to President Joe Biden behind closed doors says that his condition is deteriorating at an accelerated rate. Oh, they can't slow it down. As he continues, it's unbelievable. As he continues to face growing calls to step aside as the party's presidential nominee this fall following his disastrous debate. I'm laughing because it's so remarkable that we've been talking about this for 4 fucking years. And Democrats are just waking up like, whoa, Joey, what's going on? You're kind of wobbly. You're a little shaky, buddy. What's happening? This is new. It's not new. Welcome, independents, Democrats, welcome. Please join us. We would love to have you. Welcome to the right side, the correct side. The New York Times reported that those closest to Biden have noticed that he's increasingly appeared confused and listless. We saw the reporters report on this, but it's just great to see it again. Or would lose the thread of conversations. Growing more frequent and more pronounced and more worrisome. Like I mentioned, the staff are freaking out behind closed doors, and that's why they're doing an entire staff meeting, is to sit there and hopefully calm the panic that is going on behind closed doors. It is wild what is happening over in the White House. And you guys, remember, if you're seeing this type of media movement, if you're seeing this type of stuff like just out there in the open, can you imagine how bad it is behind closed doors? It has to be terrible. I mean, we're seeing the best of Joe. What you saw in the debate and what you're seeing in front of a teleprompter is the best of Joe. He gave a speech just the other day, yesterday, I believe it was, like in a small little building, and he had to have a teleprompter. Like, this dude cannot speak without a teleprompter. It is wild. And again, he's only doing it for a few minutes here and there. So we'll keep you up to date on all that stuff. And like I mentioned, you guys, Hunter Biden is joining Joe in House meetings now. Hunter Biden quite possibly could be running the country. And that's what we have right here. President Joe Biden's son, convicted felon Hunter Biden, has been joining his father for official White House meetings this week, as the 81-year-old seeks to cling on to power by ignoring calls for him to step down. Hunter Biden, Jill Biden, who's been doing speaking engagements with the president. Now, that's not too off the wall of first ladies to do, but she's been chauffeuring him out there. And again, we got to give ourselves a pat on the back here, because it's just us patriots and me in front of the camera. And I speak for all of us when I say we were in front of that. We called out the fact months before that you're going to see a lot more of Jill Biden with Joe Biden doing speaking engagements. And I even gave you the reason. And I said the reason for that was they need to eat up time. People wait hours to see Joe. As unbelievable as that sounds, there are people that will wait hours to see Joe. And so for him to come out for 4 minutes and then immediately turn around and just walk away without taking anybody's questions or meeting anybody is a little bit disrespectful. And so what do they need to do? Eat time. Let's get some no-namers up there to talk. And then they do what? Then they chauffeur out Jill. She'll do this stupid kind of rehearsed thing. And then they'll chauffeur out Joe for a few minutes. And then they leave, just kind of appease the people. So we called it ahead of time. It's just going to get more and more interesting. Yay, I finally found Brad live time since the presidential debate. Karen, thank you so much. Again, I want to give a shout out really quick to Big Dog again for becoming a supporter over at Rumble, folks. Rumble does have a join tab. You can show us some love over there. We got a lot of people. Look at that. A lot of people watching at Rumble. Look at the numbers go up. Oh my God. Folks, I'm no kidding. I saw like, Joe, no kidding. The numbers over at Rumble just spiked the second we looked over there again. Now I can see all you in the chat. I'm telling you, folks, if you're over at Rumble, you're just seeing our live stream now. We got a great audience. We got a great patriotic community that would love for you to join us. Hit that join tab. I'm telling you, man. I hype it up. If people ask me, like, yeah, like, what do you do for fun? Oh, I do a YouTube show. It's political. And they say, well, what's your favorite part about it? I say, you guys. That is, I'm not pandering. I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just telling you straight up. You know, we love our community here. That was the purpose. And I think for those that are longtime Bald Brad Show viewers know that. We do it good. Look at Dylan's in here. Rumble Dylan. Dylan's the best, man. Dylan's the best. So we're going to continue here. We have the White House folks coming out and saying the fact that with deadbeat Hunter Biden now participating alongside his father at high-level meetings. So it's not like just reporting like you're seeing. This is coming from the White House themselves. Here we go.
New tonight, NBC News reports that first son Hunter Biden joined meetings with the president and senior staff this week in the West Wing. Reaction from senior staff described as, what the hell is happening? The White House had this explanation.
He came back with his dad from Camp David. He walked him into the speech prep and he was in the room.
New tonight, NBC News reports that
they're just playing it off like, oh, well, it was just speech prep. We've asked her questions in the past of, well, if it's speech prep, what was he prepping exactly? What has he been doing with the president? And every time they sit there and they pivot, and by them, I mean Ian Sams, the White House counsel. I'm talking about Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary. I'm also talking about the other psychos and nut jobs that come out, meaning his spokespeople like that woman and the other gentleman that we've seen in the past saying, well, he's just there because Joe loves his son. He's just there to sit there and give him comfort. No, there was rumors many, many months ago, 6 to 12 months to be exactly, that Joe Biden was being handled by his son, Hunter Biden. What I mean by that is Joe Biden's so far gone that Hunter Biden was having to chauffeur him and walk him around the White House, but also just get him the meetings and get him out of bed. Like I mentioned, Joe Biden's schedule is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're having to chauffeur this guy out when he's at his best, and he's having Hunter Biden now sit there in meetings with him. I also want to point out the fact that there was reporting that came out yesterday saying that Joe Biden is only listening to his top advisors. He's not listening to his staff. He's not listening to anybody that's coming in with a different point of view, meaning he's having this confirmation bias with those around him that are only catering to what he wants to hear, as well as possibly what his family members are telling him. This is dangerous. This is wrong. His son, remember Burisma Holdings, Ukraine, that whole thing, that's shuffling money allegedly from China, Romania, and Ukraine into the Biden's business bank accounts, into Joe Biden's personal bank account, of which we've seen the checks, the receipts for. Not a good thing and not a good look, folks. And a lot of reporters were kind of shocked at this. And if they're shocked, boy, oh boy, folks, I'm telling you what, there's going to be a lot more shocking things that are going to come out here in the future. We got a lot of people over at Rumble. Thank you for joining us, folks. We're the Bald Brad Show, baby. For patriots, independents, and hell, if you're a Democrat that weaseled your way in here, we still love for you joining us. We got a lot of people over at Rumble, folks. We got 300 people plus checking us out over at Rumble. That's the love and care that we get over there. YouTube, sorry, YouTube, you suck. Well, like I mentioned, Ian Sams, who is the White House counsel, comes out and says, well, he's sharp. He's asking tough questions. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, you're going to see different moments depending on different times and what outlets you have his spokespeople on. If you have Karine Jean-Pierre during the White House press briefings, she's going to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to take anything from you. We understand that you saw what you saw, and we don't want to sit there and remove your feelings from you. That's what she saw and heard yesterday, as far as all of us when we watched the White House press briefing. But then here, when you have the people going on MSNBC and CNN, they're saying, well, don't talk about his cognitive abilities, meaning that you do want to take that away from us, that you don't want to acknowledge the fact that we all saw what we saw during debate prep, or rather debate night. So, meaning, I guess the people would have saw it during debate prep as well, him fumbling through his words, since I was reporting as well. So you have him here saying, oh, well, it's cognitive decline. This is what we have here.
Quote, in the weeks and months before President Biden's politically devastating performance on the debate stage in Atlanta, several current and former officials and others who encountered him behind closed doors noticed that he increasingly appeared confused or listless or would lose the thread of conversations. Have you ever heard any accounts like that or witnessed that?
No, I've got to say that doesn't look anything like the president that I know. When I deal with him, he's sharp. He's asking tough questions, and he's speaking, I think maybe most importantly, speaking passionately about what matters to him.
You heard it from the horse's mouth. Listen, he's sharp. That's not the president I know. That's not the guy I've ever seen. Who was that on stage?
Ever heard any accounts like that or witnessed that?
No, I've got to say that doesn't look anything like the president that I know. When I deal with him, he's sharp. He's asking tough questions, and he's speaking, I think maybe most importantly, speaking passionately about what matters to him.
You guys, he wasn't sharp. He's not speaking on behalf of what matters most to the American people. I mean, what matters most to the American people is the fact that ultimately there's illegal immigration happening. You got a massive influx of people coming across through the border, like drugs, sex trafficking, human trafficking, all these negative things. The people want to see inflation come down, even though inflation's still up. But Joe Biden will say during the debate, even though he's saying, oh, I only speak the truth, Joe Biden's going to sit there and tell you that when he came in office, he had 9.1% inflation, which is BS. You had 1.4% inflation when you came into office. You sat there and lied about it a week before the actual debate. You were hoping that the mainstream media would carry that narrative for you, so when you got to the debate, everybody would believe you and not push you on it. Then you're going to come out and send out your spokespeople after the debate, after you just got done getting your ass kicked by the teleprompter yesterday, and you're blaming on the fact that you're exhausted, telling us that he's sharp, folks. He's with it. He takes tough questions. What questions have we seen Joe Biden take? One, he won't even go out in front of the press. He's never stood on the podium. He's never been in a White House press briefing in 4 years. So where's Joe taking these hardball questions? Because when we see the hardball questions, it's, Mr. President, what's your favorite ice cream? Whoa, stop traffic. Hey, Mr. President, what are you doing later today? Really? Mr. President, what's your name? What day is it, buddy? Those are the hardball questions he gets. I mean, the ones that we saw most recently was, as he's walking out, do you think that you're able to hold office for another 4 years? Joe Biden can't hold his bowel movements, let alone hold office for another 4 years. Give me a break, but he's sharp, you guys. He's with it. He's totally there. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break. Nobody believes that. Does anybody in the chat believe it? I see y'all over there in Rumble. I see all of you. Does anybody over at YouTube believe that either? Nobody believes that one bit. Get out of here, Joe. Folks, we got over 700 people watching the stream, baby. We're doing it big. All thanks to Dylan. Thank you. That homepage, folks. Holy lordy. Holy lordy. So Tucker Carlson has come out and just said, look, it's inevitable that he's going to sit there and drop out. I don't know, because what are they going to do with the laws and the books with the states? And like I said to mention the other day, I think that based on what the states did with the election, like Pennsylvania, oh, hey, let's just go ahead and change it. You can vote for a week. No big deal. Oh, it's time stamped. It's dated after the election. Not a big deal. We'll count it anyways. Hey, your signature doesn't match up to your voter registration. Weird. Don't worry. We'll take it anyways. Oh, you're an illegal? Don't worry about it. Voter room's right over there. Take a left. Hey, do you want a water before you go in? No? Okay, don't worry about it. Yeah, go ahead. Vote Joey, though, right? You're going to vote Joey? Well, don't worry. We got that taken care of. If you vote Trump, it's automatically going to sit there and make you vote for Joey. That's how he supposedly allegedly got 82 million votes, allegedly. Well, here's Tucker. Tucker Carlson suggested President Joe Biden is going to be out and withdraw from the 2024 presidential race, and that it's inevitable as too many prominent Democrats have expressed worry over the president's chances at re-election after his debate performance with former President Donald Trump. And here's the tweet itself. From a usually good source, Obama tweet supporting Joe Biden was disingenuous. In private, Obama is telling people Biden can't win, and he is therefore in favor of an open conversation. Obama will not say whom he supports, nor as of yesterday afternoon had he met personally with, I believe, Joe Biden himself. So that's from Tucker himself. We love Tucker over here, but I don't think Joe's going to drop out, you guys. Nor should he. We want to go up against Joe. We don't want to see Kamala and her crazy ass cackle. We don't want to see any of that. So we're big here on the White House press briefings. We're one of the few channels that actually covers every single one. And we were in it live together yesterday. And Karine Jean-Pierre stood on the podium and she sat there and weaseled her way through that press briefing. She sucks. She gets paid $180,000 a year plus benefits to read from a binder that doesn't give any answers. She's terrible at her job. She's always been terrible at her job. She's the worst White House press secretary that's ever existed. But that's what you get when you don't hire people based on their brains and what they can actually do in terms of the job. She sit there and got hired as a DEI hire. So she sat there and had the balls to brag about the fact that gas prices are down. Oh, no, you heard that correctly. Folks, gas prices are up 45% since Joe Biden's been in office. So here you go with this one.
As a record Americans travel for the 4th of July, President Biden is taking action to lower gas prices. Today, we announced the sale of 1 million barrels of gasoline, which will lower gas prices, particularly in Northeast states such as Maine, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. While President Biden has unleashed record energy production, including affordable clean energy, congressional Republicans are siding with big oil to give out tax cuts while keeping prices high for families.
Why is this such an insane messaging? Remember, on the campaign trail, Joe Biden in 2019 sat there and said, hey, we want to remove the fossil fuel industry. We want to sit there and cut prices. We want to sit there and remove the industry altogether. And then they're baffled with the fact that the gas prices go up. And so because they're baffled after Joe Biden's messaging, they had to sit there and spin gas prices and pretend like it's somebody else's fault and not Joe Biden. So do we recall who they actually blamed gas prices on going up on? Do we actually recall who they sat there and put the blame on? Because it wasn't Joe Biden. No. They blamed it on Vladimir Putin. Here's an old clip. Here's an old image of when Joe Biden took office there, January 20th, 2021. And what do we all see here? A positive trend that gas prices are increasing. And what was her messaging back then? Not our fault. This is the economy that we inherited. I see low gas prices there when Donald Trump was in office, and that you inherited a really great gas price. But then since you wanted to go out and show for this whole idea that you want to bring back climate, we want to make climate great. We want to sit there and remove the fossil fuel industry and put in wind turbines and solars that don't actually solve anything. Go and buy your gas, get rid of your gas-powered vehicles and buy energy electric. Who's going to buy energy and electric vehicles when nobody had jobs back then, Joe? Do you guys remember that messaging? It was Janet Yellen and the other nut jobs in the economy, as far as the advisors for the president, saying, hey, go buy an energy vehicle if you don't like gas prices. Who has $60,000 to spend on an electric vehicle? What the hell are you? People can't afford gas, which is why we're all bitching about it. It's expensive. But they're going to blame Putin. And they called it the Putin's price hike. That was the messaging from the White House for the longest time. It was the Putin's price hike. And if you don't like it, if you don't like the price of gas, folks, and you're not able to afford groceries, well, go out and spend $60,000 on a brand new electric vehicle that nobody wants. And that's why electric vehicles aren't selling. This administration sucks. They're the worst. He's by far the worst president in American history. Bring in the receipts as we always do. Thank you, Pat. I see you in there, babe. We got a lot of people over at Rumble. Over 1,000 people are watching over at Rumble. They love the patriotic stuff, folks. Donald Trump, vote Trump 2024, baby. So in the briefing, she said, why doesn't Karine Jean-Pierre know how to pronounce Biden's own Supreme Court appointee, Ketanji Brown Jackson? I think because she was nervous yesterday. I think she was sitting there, and that's why she was late, fashionably late, which we called out. She's always late to her own press briefings, of which she creates the own time for, that she can't even sit there and say the lady's name correctly.
President Biden appointed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman to be on the Supreme Court, and has appointed more black women to the federal appellate court than every other president in history combined.
She's bad. Well, she's going to blame his humiliating debate performance on a cold and had a hoarse voice. So there's a huge pivot here. There's a huge pivot. Before, he's sharp, he's fine, coming from Karine Jean-Pierre. Nobody can keep up with him. Even the aides are having a tough time actually keeping up with the president each and every day. She doesn't know how he does it. He exercises every morning, supposedly. That just doesn't come from her. It comes from also Joy Behar, The View, who's also another psycho. Well, she's going to sit here and say this.
Let me just step back for a minute and I guess deal with the questions that have come in about the debate. And honestly, this is something that the president has addressed himself multiple times since this past Thursday. And first of all, I want to say we understand the concerns. We get it. The president did not have a great night, as you all know, and many of you reached out during the debate. The president had a cold. He had a hoarse voice. You all heard it. That's why you reached out. But I will say this, and the president said this over the past couple of days, certainly right after the debate. He knows how to do the job. And he knows how to do the job, not because he says it, because his record proves it. Because for 3.5 years, almost 4 years, the president's record has been unprecedented.
It has been unprecedented. You're correct, Karine. He has created more new jobs. We always say Joe Biden's the greatest businessman on the planet. He's created a lot of jobs for the cartels. He's created a lot of jobs for these drug traffickers. He's created multi-billion-dollar industries, Karine. So you're right. No, his administration is unprecedented. The guy went on for 3 years, breaking his own records month after month on apprehensions at the border. You're absolutely correct, Karine. So maybe this is the first time she's ever told the truth in her entire life. But don't worry, his voice was hoarse. He was doing so much debate prep, the fact that they had to cut it 2 days short so he get some rest. No, yeah, let's blame it on the cold. Why didn't you tell us he had a cold beforehand, Karine? Why was it middle of the debate when you saw this dude falling apart in front of millions of people, not just Americans, but across the globe, that all of a sudden mid-debate you're like, holy shit, tell everybody he has a cold. We don't have any proof of it, but tell them that he has a cold. He's not with us. Oh, God, he's falling apart. And then she was asked during the White House press briefing by a reporter yesterday going, you're mentioning that he had a cold and it affected his performance and he wasn't with it. Hey, you know what? Was he on any cold medicine? Like, was he on any drugs that maybe could have altered his thinking or like sent him off into another universe? Like anything? And she goes, no, he wasn't on any cold flu medicine. Okay, so what was it then, Karine? He just had a bad night. And so people followed up again saying, well, if it wasn't the cold medicine, was he on anything else? And here's the thing. She wouldn't answer the question. Was Joe Biden on any other drugs during the debate? And she wouldn't answer the question. In my opinion, that's an affirmation that he was on something. And a lot of speculation going back to 2019 was that he has been on something. Joe Biden's a big different man compared to these big moments like we saw with these speeches, like the State of the Union, where every single day he chauffeured out and fumbles through his words. Every single day he fights with the teleprompter. Every single day he wanders off. Every single day he does all these things, falls up a flight of stairs, looks for dead people in the crowd, takes photos with people at events that were never there in the first place. This guy is not with it. And we all believe here that he's given a little something to soup him up, to make him like Super Joe, except he's so far deteriorated. He's so far gone that there's no drugs that is conceivable on this planet that will actually make him debate proof, basically make him coherent enough to actually perform a debate. It's really a remarkable thing that we're seeing. And it's honest, it's kind of cruel. That first 13 minutes when he first stumbled through he didn't know where the hell he was. I physically sat there when we were doing the debate live going, dude, I don't know if I could continue to watch this for another hour and a half, because you feel bad for the guy, whether you like him or not. Again, I'm no fan of Joe. I voted for Trump 2 times already. 2016, 2020, you're damn right. I'm voting for Trump in 2024, baby. You know, he's just, it was hard to watch. So will Joe Biden be releasing more robust medical records? Because if it was just the cold, if he's sharp, like you saw from Ian Sams, the White House counsel that we just saw say, he's sharp, he's with it, don't worry about it, bad night, then would you release more information about his cognitive health? Will he actually do a cognitive test? Here's her answer.
I wondered if there's been any consideration given to like releasing a more robust set of medical records or something to show his mental acuity.
So I will say this, look, and again, I get the question. It is a fair question to ask. We are not taking that away, and that's why the president certainly has spoken to this. As it relates to his medical records, we have been transparent. We have released thorough reports from his medical team every year since he's been in office. That is something that we have been pretty consistent about. As it relates to, something like a cognitive test, to the question that you're asking me about what the speaker, former speaker said, obviously she can speak for herself. His team, who has said, the medical team said it is not warranted in this case. We have put forward a thorough, transparent annual report on his health.
I guess I wondered if there's been any consideration.
Unbelievable. They're not going to do a cognitive test. They're not going to do all these things because Joe Biden is so far gone. But don't worry, folks. They're going to blame it that, hey, he didn't get enough rest. He was sick. He's not feeling well. Well, you know what? Maybe something that would wake Joe up a little bit is 1775 coffee, folks. Check this out. We looked at it yesterday. 1775coffee.com. You know that we sit here. We do a morning show, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every single day, drinking our coffee together. This is my third cup right here. It's time to say goodbye to Starbucks. I call it $5. And say hello to Rumble's 1775 coffee. Folks, this stuff is premium. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech, and it's tough to find something that tastes good and shares your values. And this coffee backs not just free speech, but is unapologetic about it. It is 1775coffee.com. Visit them again, 1775coffee.com. Use promo code STUDIO To get 15% off, the coffee comes in medium and dark roast. It also comes in peaberry, which is similar to kind of like a Kona coffee. And that's exactly how we get this luscious beard of justice right here, is through 1775 coffee. In other words, this stuff is premium, baby. It's the good stuff. Click the link in the live chat or the description. You can also go directly to 1775coffee.com and use promo code STUDIO to get 15% off today. Check it out, folks. Like I mentioned, Joey could use a cup of 1775 because maybe it will inculcate him conservative values inside his system and work through his bloodstream up to his head to make him speak coherently. Well, she sat there and alleged that the cold itself was during his humiliating debate performance. So she kept doing this charade. She kept doing it throughout the entire press briefing that Joe Biden was, it's just a cold.
You just reminded us that President Biden had a cold on Thursday. What medications was he taking in the days or hours leading up to the debate?
And I know that question has come in a couple of times to us. He was not taking any cold medication.
Was he taking any medication that would have interfered with his
He
performance?
was not taking any cold medication. That is what I can speak to. I've asked his doctor, and that's what he stated to us.
You just reminded us that President Biden...
Like I mentioned, there's the receipts, folks. We show the proof here. We show the proof. Joe Biden is not there. And there's no scans that they're going to show. They're not going to show cognitive tests. And it was echoed again during yesterday where somebody asked, are we going to get a neurological scan? Are we going to get a test from Joe Biden? Here's her response.
After the debate, did the president get examined by a doctor or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night. And the president has spoken to this. And he understands that. And so I cannot speak to anything beyond what I just shared. The president has regular annual physicals that we release in a thorough report. We're going to continue to do that. I don't have anything else beyond that.
I'm telling you, they were asked of her multiple times, like, what's going on with this health? Like, there seems to be a crisis going on behind closed doors. And the question that was proposed as well later in the briefing was, is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job? Now, there's only two routes here. Either she's going to sit there and lie, which we know she's doing. Remember, we covered the classified document scandal where she sat there of as many times as we've counted and caught her 5 times lying to the press about Joe Biden having classified documents. Around, I think it was either June or July, the 11th through the 17th, she sat there day after day and went on that podium and answered their questions about the fact, does Joe Biden have more classified documents than what we presently know about? And she lied to them each and every day, and we covered it day in and day out. It was an entire saga. She's known the lie, but she's asked here again about the president's health.
Is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day?
Absolutely not.
Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Not one freaking iota. There's no way in hell that this guy is healthy. If he's so healthy, why is he not on the podium, Karine? If he's so healthy, she kept talking about yesterday turning the page. We want to turn the page on this. It was just a bad night. We want to get over it. He's in the White House. Why is he not on that podium? Why are you on that podium? Why are you there when that dude could walk 30 seconds over, stand on that podium, and answer all the questions about his health, all his business dealings, all the lies he's told, all the stupid flubs he's done through the last 3.5 years? Why is he not on that podium? Why the hell is your dumbass on that podium that we don't get any questions from, which is a remarkable, or answers, which is a remarkable thing because you have an entire binder that's allegedly filled with answers, but we never get anything from you. It's a remarkable thing, but don't worry, guys. They want to turn the page on this one. They want to have a little transition for all of us. And so you keep saying it's just a bad night for Biden at the debate, but there's any explanation as to why it was so bad? Because if it's not cognitive decline, if it's not the fact that it's the medication that you gave him, if it's not anything other than sleep or whatever, like, why was he having such a bad night?
Okay, well, you continue to say it was just a bad night, but is there an explanation then for why it was so bad? If it's not his stamina, if he prepared, as you guys say, for so long, if it's not a problem with his mental fitness, What happened that night? What did we see?
I will also add that the president also spoke to this as well. He said, I'm not as smooth as I used to be. I don't debate as well as I used to. I don't walk as easily as I used to. But one thing that he knows is how to deliver for the American people. He understands that. He understands that he's not a young man, obviously. He said this.
That's not what they portrayed him. Remember how he does this like stupid ass like walk? He like kind of does like a little pep in his walk. Don't give me that. She spent 4 years in conjunction with the mainstream media like CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, telling us, hey, this guy's sharp. He's fit. He exercises in the mornings. We can't get this guy to stop. We can't even keep up with him. Give me a freaking break. So Karine confirms deadbeat Hunter Biden is joining his father in the White House. Unbelievable.
Biden has been in some meetings with senior advisors. Why is the president's son involved?
So a couple of things I saw that reporting as I was coming out. So a couple of things there. Look, the president, as you know, is very close to his family. This is a holiday week, 4th of July. He spent time with his family, as you all know, and reported at Camp David. Hunter came back with him and walked with him into that meeting, that speech prep, and he ended up spending time with his dad and his family that night. That is basically what happened. It is a week where there's going to be more family members who are going to come to the White House. I'm sure you'll see some of them on 4th of July. Many more are expected to be here.
No issue with family being in the White House. The question, though, would be, is he participating in meetings with senior advisors?
What I can say is that he came back with his dad from Camp David. He walked him into the speech prep, and he was in the room. That I can tell you, he was in the room.
Oh, he was in the room. What was he in the room for? If it's just vacation weekend, you guys, because tomorrow's 4th of July, what was he in the room for? Like, why does he need to be there when the speech is written? Why? Because he's advising the president is why. And he's been doing so for quite some time. Joe's been being advised by his son, Hunter Biden, who's a psycho, who sits there and falls and takes naps with crack pipes in his mouth. That's what's going on with this president. People want 4 more years of it. No, we know people. We show the clip all the time. What do you mean? Democrats want 4 more years of this stuff, guys. Democrats want 4 more years of Joe Biden. We see them. They've done the chance. It's really a remarkable thing from the Democrats that they actually would sit there and put 4 more years in for Joe. They sat there. So Democrats, 4 more years for Joe. During his recent visit, I guess you'd call it recent, to a church, and they were all chanting 4 more years for this guy. We showed the receipts. We'll get a set up for you guys real quick. Welcome to Rumble if you're over there with us. We got over 1,200 people here. 1,200 people. Somebody asked here, I believe it was James Rosen, just shouted out, is Joe Biden disabled?
Is he disabled?
No, and let me finish with your colleague, please. And I know, but shouting out, come on. You know better. Come on.
Is the president disabled? Yes, he is. She said no, but he's disabled. He's disabled. There was a lot of great questions yesterday. One of them was, hey, like, is the guy, does he have Alzheimer's? Is he with us? Is he all there? And she ended up actually saying no. So this is it right here. Does the president have Alzheimer's or any form of dementia? This was the question of the day yesterday.
Delicate, and you may not like it. The president may not like to hear it if he's watching, but I think the American people need to get a yes or no answer on this. Does President Biden, at 81 years old, have Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, or degenerative illness that will cause these sorts of lapses? And it's a yes or no question. And if you don't know, why don't you, as one of his senior staff members, know?
I have an answer for you. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
It's a no. And I hope you're asking the other guy the same exact question.
I'm going to ask.
Why would you ask the other guy the same exact question? Why would you ask Donald Trump if he has Alzheimer's or dementia? Like I mentioned, the guy sat there on debate day. Mind you, he'd already done a bunch of rallies before then. This dude sat there and did fundraising breakfasts, probably played a round of golf before that at like 5 in the morning, does fundraising breakfasts, go out and does rallies, speaks for an hour and a half in the hot ass sun in front of a bunch of patriots that want to make America great again. And then he sits there and leaves and does more fundraising events, sits there and flies and walks right into the debate, destroys Joe Biden, destroys the Democrat Party, and then he leaves and goes to party afterwards. Joe Biden sits there, travels around the globe, spends 14 days, 12 to 14 days doing debate prep with 16 advisors, doesn't talk to a damn person. He's at Camp David, sleeping the entire time. They had to cut his debate 2 days short, his debate prep 2 days short so he can rest. He sits there, does nothing beforehand, and he goes and does the debate and gets destroyed. But you're going to tell us that he's sharp, that he doesn't have Alzheimer's, and that we should ask Donald Trump if he has any sort of lack of problems. You guys, do you all recall back in, it was like 2020, might have been 20, yeah, 20, no, it was earlier than that. It was like between 2016 and 2020 when he was president. And he was shaking with his glass of water. Do y'all remember this? It was like that, barely shaking. And he was just drinking a glass of water. And the Democrat Party worked in conjunction with the mainstream media to go, 25th Amendment, get rid of Donald Trump. He's not fit to hold office, because his hand was shaking. Remember when he slipped because it was rainy or it was cold and a little bit of frost had gotten on the ramp to get onto the speaking stage? And then he slipped a little bit because he's wearing business shoes. If anybody's worn business shoes, I used to be in public accounting. I was a tax accountant, an insurance and advisory auditor. You know that even on carpet, good business shoes are slippery. And so he slipped a little bit. 25th Amendment, get the guy out of office. He's not able to do it. Something's wrong with him. We have hours of Joe Biden fumbling with his teleprompter, falling up a flight of stairs, falling off a bicycle standing stationary, sitting there, tripping over a sandbag at a graduation ceremony, can't get himself back up, wanders off everywhere, doesn't know where the Oval Office is, can't find his own residency in the White House. His own White House aides come out and say, look, man, we're scared this guy's going to trip over a camera cable and break his hip and he's done. That's a real thing, by the way. I did not even make that part up. I haven't made up actually anything yet. This guy sits there and hits a golf ball backwards and has the balls to sit there and go up against Trump about golfing. I mean, it was a little bit cringe, but it was what it was. So we've been one of those outlets that covers illegal immigration. We need it to stop. It's one of my top two issues, illegal immigration and our debt. Well, we got freaking some good news. We always been giving you bad news about the fact that there's 10 million people here illegally that we know about, which we know there's probably another 5 to 6 million that we don't know about, on top of the 20 million that are already here illegally that have been here for the last few decades because nobody wants to get rid of them. And so you have more people than half the population in terms of states. Let that sink in. Joe Biden's already come out and said, we want to give all these people amnesty. He said it with his own words. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party have already come out and said, in conjunction with Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden, his dumbass self, have come out and actually said, we want to give people not only that have come in before my administration, but also during my administration, amnesty. That's their game plan. And the game plan is to turn those into votes, because most of illegal immigrants that do get their paperwork filed and are given citizenship vote overwhelmingly, like in the high percentage rate, like 90% vote Democrat. You're never going to see a Republican elected in office for the rest of your lifetime if they give all of these people amnesty, which is why Donald Trump wants to work with local law enforcement, work with ICE, work with Border Patrol, and work with our military to deport 20 plus million people. And a lot of Americans are behind it because a lot of our jobs, like Donald Trump said, are getting taken up. So here's some good news. U.S. removes Chinese illegal immigrants in first large deportation flight to China since Trump administration. Whoa, 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 whoa. Can we stop traffic? This is xenophobic. Well, if Donald Trump were to do that, what would the media say about this? Oh, look at that bigot. Look at that racist. Look at that xenophobe. He doesn't like the Chinese. Huh. Not a peep from the mainstream media on this. Really weird. Really weird how all of a sudden it's cool to deport illegal immigrants from the Democrat Party. Really weird. Remember when AOC went down there when Donald Trump was in office going, they're drinking out of toilets. Oh my God, they're drinking out of toilets. They weren't drinking out of toilets, you psycho. By the way, she was reelected again 2 weeks ago. They weren't drinking out of toilets. Oh my God, look at they're being taken from their families. They're in cages. Gee, because I recall that they were still in cages when Joe Biden took office. They were still being separated from their families when Joe Biden took office. They still are, by the way. And I remember when COVID was happening, Joe Biden was stuffing these pods with illegal immigrants that were only supposed to hold about 150, 200 max with 400 people. It was so stuffed, they physically couldn't put more people in these pods. and the CDC only allowed 50% capacity in these pods in the early stages of COVID. And what did they do? Well, they had to fly them into the interior of the country. They had to fly them all around the United States to get them some shelter because they didn't have space for them. And so they demanded from the CDC, and the CDC authorized this. They demanded from the CDC that they take the capacity of these pods at these border sectors to move it from 50% to 100% so they could stuff more people in there. You were already at 100%. So what was the purpose of doing that? So they wouldn't get in trouble. Think about that. Unbelievable stuff. That's going back a few years from Joe Biden's terrible presidency. So the Department of Homeland Security announced Tuesday that it conducted a deportation of Chinese illegal immigrants over the weekend, flying them back home on the first large deportation charter flight to China since 2018. DHS did not specify how many illegal immigrants are on the flight. Maybe it was an empty flight. Maybe there were no illegal immigrants. Saying that the removal of Chinese migrants was part of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, continued efforts to engage the People's Republic of China on areas of mutual interest. Come on, give me a break. You know how many freaking drugs China's sending up through our southern border? You know how many spies are in our country right now from China because Joe Biden doesn't want to actually do his damn job of executing the laws that are on the books, which is what he took an oath of office to do so, is uphold the rules, laws, regulations that are on the books as the executive branch to execute the laws. He doesn't want to do it, which is why I've always said he should sit there and get impeached because he doesn't want to do his job, dereliction of duty. Here's what he said, the nut job. We will continue to enforce our immigration laws and remove individuals without a legal basis to remain in the United States. That dude had the balls to say that. The thumb, the guy that's an idiot, Alejandro Mayorkas, said that the press release announcing a deportation flight to China, people should not believe the lies of smugglers. How about people shouldn't believe the lies that you're telling the American public? Remember, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sat there in front of Congress, in front of Jim Jordan, the chairman, and goes, the border's secure. There's nothing to see here, no big deal. Really, dude, why is there 10 million people that we know about that are in our country? For those that are new followers of the Bald Brad Show, by the way, Border Patrol agents had to twist the guy's arm to sit there and admit the fact that they were allowing minimum 85% of those that are encountered at the border into the interior of the country. Minimum 85%. They had to twist his arm. The conversation went something like this. Yeah, hey, we're getting a big influx in here, Mr. Secretary. How many people are you really allowing into the country? It's like 35%. It's like 35. Well, I don't know, man, because we're at the border here as Border Patrol agents and the union. We feel like we're encountering a lot more. And it seems like a lot of undocumented flights are being let into the interior of the country. There's a lot of vans taking place. You're telling us that you're going to give them court dates 10 years in the future, ankle bracelets, cell phones. Like, it feels like a lot more. All right, stop. Okay, you got me. It's 55%. You got me. Well, I don't know. It seems a lot more. Like, I don't actually see anybody being apprehended. I don't see anybody being really verified and actually vetted. We're just allowing them to walk through. Okay, you got me again. It's 85. Okay, enough. It's 85. So that was a real thing, by the way. Now, I embellished the story, but it really is 85% minimum that they're allowing in the interior of the country. So at least we get some good news. At least, hey, if it's 2, it's good news. Okay? Because every day for 4 years, we've been bringing terrible news on how Joe Biden has sucked at the border. This dude, we've been covering it since day one, at least since the inception of the show. We're only 3 years old here, folks. We're still babies. We're still infants. By the way, no producers. We're grassroots. There ain't no corporation behind us, man. It is just me, a bald head dude in his closet with a camera and a microphone, hopefully spitting facts and truths to the American people. We got still over 1,200 people at Rumble, man. Rumble, is Rumble our new home? Dylan, does Rumble need to be our new home? I know you're in here. I'm loving it, man. I'm having a good time here. Patriots, like-minded people that just want to make America great again. Folks, can I say something real quick? I do a lot of rants here on the show. If you enjoy rants, this is the place for you. We deviate from the news a lot. Remember just last week or 2 weeks ago, Department of Homeland Security, their advisory board to Joe Biden, came out and said that if you're a MAGA supporter, if you've ever served in the military, if you're religious, you are now deemed a terror risk in your own country. That's a fancy way of saying, you're a terrorist in your own country. Isn't that just lovely? All us patriots in here, according to Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, let's go through a list of all the things we are, supposedly. We're racist, we're sexist, we're bigots, we're homophobes, we're terrorists, we're a threat to democracy, we're a threat to the republic, we're a threat to the country, we're a threat to climate, we're a threat to this, we're a threat to... We're none of those things. We just want to make America great again. We just want people to prosper. Doesn't matter what your race is. Completely meaningless. Doesn't matter what your background is. You can be successful in this country. We just want to uplift the American people. We want us to prosper. We want everybody to do great. Doesn't matter. We don't want crime. We don't want illegal immigration. We don't want people that don't want to assimilate into our creed and values of this country that tear our social fabric. That's going to be hard to sit there and sew together again. We don't want any of that. We just want people to be able to live the American dream, that don't get reamed by a president, meaning Joe Biden, in the back each and every year. We don't want any of that. We want a president like Donald Trump that's going to sit there and put back in his tax cuts so that we can have more money in our pocket, sit there and create great trade with other countries, imply tariffs or impose tariffs on countries that don't want to do their damn job, meaning China, and make America great again. Seize up our border, allow people to come in legally, do the paperwork correctly, verify the people, vet the people that actually want to be here and assimilate to our country, choose the ones that actually sit there and want to actually make our sciences greater, make our education great again, and work that way. But Joe Biden doesn't want to do any of that. Joe Biden wants to sit there and allow all these people in that want to siphon from your jobs. They want to siphon from Social Security. They want to do all these things, but the Democrat Party says that's not happening, folks. Why? Because it's all fake news. It's all deep fakes. It's all cheap fakes. It's unbelievable. So I hit you with the good news. Now I got to hit you back with the bad news. We sitting here, we want to do a story every day because these stories that are coming out from what these illegal immigrants are doing to our American citizens, our youth, our young daughters is despicable. And Joe Biden's allowing it to happen. And you want to know something? Democrats are going to vote for it again. Democrats are going to come out in the millions, you guys, 70 to 80 million easy, and vote for Joe Biden when this type of stuff's happening. Another illegal immigrant was charged with suffocating, killing young women on her birthday. How many news stories have we covered here on the Ball Brad Show where it is young women that are being raped? It's young women that are being killed. It's young women that are being assaulted. It's young women this or that. Each and every day there's a new article coming out about something happening to just Americans in general. It doesn't matter what it is. It's all terrible at the end of the day. It should never happen in the first place because these people aren't being vetted. Oh, well, they want a great life, you guys. They're coming through the border. They just want a great life. Really? Then why are they sitting here suffocating and killing young girls? Why are they raping young women? If they just want a better life. Why are all these happening, Joe? Joe doesn't know what the hell's going on. So suspect here, I'm not going to read this guy's name, is accused of murdering a young woman in Syracuse, June 18th. The Syracuse Police Department told Fox News Digital that the suspect has been charged with second-degree murder and concealment of a human corpse. I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to lose it. We've been good. I've been really good. Long-time listeners of Ball Brad Show, I've been really good about not losing it here on the show. A source from the Department of Homeland Security recently told the New York Post both people were in the U.S. illegally. Both are from Ecuador. Doesn't give you a right to still kill somebody. So here's some footage of this. Just terrible. Here for better lives, you guys. Isn't that a remarkable thing? That you have hundreds of thousands of people being killed every single year just by fentanyl alone coming through our southern border. And Joe Biden and his administration have the balls to tell all of you patriots, oh, it's secure. Yeah, we got it handled. We'll figure it out. Just give us another 4 years. We'll figure it out. Why is that messaging always there? Do you remember on the debate stage when he's like, if I'm reelected president, this is Joe Biden talking, if I'm reelected president, I'm going to sit there and do abortion. I'm going to sit there and fix illegal immigration. I'm going to fix the economy. I'm going to do this and do that. Bro, you're president now. You could just do all this now. Remember early on in his administration, since day one, they always boasted about this. Since day one, we're going to put uncomprehensive, the biggest legislation reform you've ever seen on immigration. Republicans are blocking it. Republicans won't let us do this or that. Bitch, you had all three branches of government like your first year in office. You had all three branches of government to do whatever the hell you wanted, and you didn't do jack shit. In the same way, Joe Biden didn't do jack shit for 50 years as a politician. He didn't do anything. You want to know what he's done? He's sit there and exacerbated issues. That's all he's ever done. He's made the problem worse. He's never not made a problem worse. Immigration. Look at the foreign policy. Look at his domestic policy. Look what he's done around the country. He sat there and used mechanisms of the government to go after his political opponents. He used mechanisms of the government to go after people he doesn't like pastors, like conservative Republicans when COVID was taking place. He did all these things, but don't worry. Ian Sams, like we saw early in the show, is going to come out and say, hey, you know what? You should trust the guy. He's trustworthy. He's not going to sit there and abuse his power. That's all he has done. That's all he has done. The dude gave the middle finger to the Supreme Court and sat there and said, hey, you know what? I know you told me that I can't relieve student loan debt forgiveness. Fuck it. I'm going to do it anyways. He sat there and gave a middle finger to the Supreme Court, but yeah, he's not going to do abuse of power. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, but we're supposed to believe the guy when he goes, I just tell the truth. Yeah, sure you do, Joe. Your head's so far up your ass. So How would a President Harris handle immigration crisis? Like, how would she do it? Because remember, she's the border czar. And there's speculation that she's going to be meeting with Joe today. She's going to be in a lot of his meetings. And sorry, I shouldn't even say there's speculation. The schedule came out. The schedule came out this morning of Joe Biden's meetings today, and she's involved in a lot of them. And let me see if I can actually pull up the proof for you, just so you can see the receipts, just so you know that Bald Brad's not pulling this out of his you-know-what. It was on the call sheet that she's going to be in a lot of this guy's meetings here. And let me see if I can get it for you. I know Benny had it. Here we go. So here it is. She's attending all his meetings. She's attending every single one. Vice president there, vice president here. So again, a lot of speculation that she's going to end up as president. So how would she look here if she was ultimately going to run it? So she's the border czar. She was supposed to fix it before. With growing calls from the Democrats for President Joe Biden to step down aside in favor of a different presidential candidate in the wake of his presidential debate performance last week, it has raised the possibility of a President Kamala Harris raising questions about how she would handle the ongoing border crisis. I'll tell you short form, she ain't going to fix it, and she hasn't. This lady flew over the border 2 years ago. She didn't go to the border. She flew over the border and went to Honduras, El Salvador, all these places. And it's going to sound like I'm making this up. Dude, she handed out sugar cookies with her face on it. People think I always make this up. That's a real thing. There was pictures of it. She flew to South America to fix the border. And she handed out sugar cookies. And then she came back and flew over the border. Didn't stop at it. Flew over the border back in D.C. and told us everybody's coming here because of climate change. It's a big theme for Democrats to blame climate change on everything. Gavin Newsom did so in California. Gavin Newsom blamed climate change on him losing a $100 billion surplus. It's climate change for everything. Just like it's Putin's fault, Xi's fault, everybody's fault other than Democrats and Joe Biden. Many Democrats and liberal media figures were left shaken by President Biden's performance at last week's debate, during which he stumbled over his words and sounded tired. It has fueled discussion about whether he should step down in favor of another candidate. Should he resign as president? Harris as vice president would be an automatic successor. If he were to finish his term, but did not wish to serve a second, the DNC would elect a new nominee. So whoever, for Joe Biden, she couldn't do it, you guys. She was put in place as the border czar. She didn't do jack shit at the border and still hasn't. Nobody has. Can you imagine 6,000 people minimum a day coming through just one sector? And then Chicago gets 12,000 in a span of 6 months, and it destroys their entire infrastructure, and they're pleading and begging for Greg Abbott of Texas and Doug Ducey of Arizona to stop busing migrants to them. Please stop. We can't take it anymore. Oh, it's 12,000. We can't do it. Bro, Texas saw 12,000 in a 24-hour period, and you can't sit there and handle 12? Okay. It just shows you how great Republicans are at running things. I mean, really, and this isn't being facetious. If you sit there and look at what Arizona, Texas, and Florida have been dealing with, and remember, states can't print money. They have to incur all those costs of all these illegal immigrants coming through their border. What a remarkable thing that Governor Greg Abbott has done. Whether you like the guy or not, what a remarkable thing, the fact that that guy through a budget and through money that I don't know where it's coming from, I guess the taxpayers only, is sitting there having to handle such a crisis more than any other state, and that guy still has his shit together. While Chicago, by the way, Chicago's paying illegal immigrants, $84,000 a year. They're giving them rental assistance. They're giving them bedding. They're giving them plasma TV. It sounds like I'm making this up. They're giving them plasma TVs. They're giving them Xboxes, sofas, coffee tables. They get air conditioning, bedding. They get a recreation center. They get entirely 3-course meal that's catered to the country of which they're coming from, meaning their culture. We got our video removed from YouTube for posting that one, by the way. So it must have been true. I mean, I know it was true because we had the camera footage to show it. So you have this affordability crisis. Speaking of taxpayer money. And by the way, what's nice here is I used to be a tax accountant. That doesn't mean I know everything. But I'm telling you right now, you are all about to be royally screwed, including me, if Joe Biden's elected president again. Because he's not going to deviate as of right now from Donald Trump's brackets that he created when he did the Trump tax cuts. What he's going to do is he's removing all your deductions. He's removing all your credits. So by him saying, well, I'm not going to increase your taxes, technically he is correct, but he's lying to you because what he's going to do is by removing all those deductions, removing all those, remember, you used to have like a personal exemption before Trump took office. Trump removed that personal exemption and shuffled it into your standard deduction. Well, Joe Biden's removing all this stuff. So you're going to owe about $500 to $3,500 more under Joe Biden than you would be under Donald Trump. Trump saved Americans about 3% on their taxes just by him being in office. So you got this affordability crisis where the average American says $186,000 needed for a comfortable living because everything's gone up. Remember, inflation might be, 3.4% right now, but it's really been 20% since Joe Biden's taken office. So this year-over-year thing doesn't do justice. It manipulates the American people. You're paying way more. Energy's up like 44%, groceries up about 45%, gas prices are up about 40-something percent. Everything's up like 40%. Insurance has gone through the roof. I mean, some people's insurances went up into the thousands. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. Hey, so did this guy play the press briefing? We played the press briefing, and we were live. So that press briefing is completely live on YouTube and Rumble. It's everywhere. If you look yesterday, there is another press briefing today. Should we go live today, Patriots? Should we go live again today? Are they live right now? Well, I got you guys sitting here. We'll come back to this. I apologize. We're a one-man show here, folks. There's nobody else. There's nobody else behind me. There's nobody else that does this show other than me. We got to do this stuff in real time. There is a press briefing coming up at 10:30. I'm more than happy to go live with you again. If you guys want to watch that together, we can do that. So you guys let me know in the chat. We will be there, baby. We serve the American people like Donald Trump does. For the past 3 years, Americans have faced 40-year high inflation, man. I'm only 35, so I've never seen things like this. I mean, obviously, I lived through 2008 recession. Record high gas prices and generally challenging economy. A new survey reveals that U.S. adults, I'll make sure you guys can see this. Okay, can we do that now? U.S. adults are increasingly pessimistic about financial security they need to live comfortably, with most doubting they will ever achieve it. I mean, what a terrible time. I mean, they're feeling they need $186,000 per year to live, you guys. That's not even anywhere close. That's not even anywhere close to the average household income that Americans make. Because Democrats suck. I mean, you don't even have to go through this. You all feel it. I mean, I don't need to tell you that you're feeling it. I'm feeling it as well. I'm not a wealthy dude. I work like 3 jobs. You know, we do a show here as a hobby, as a fun thing, right? Have like-minded people, patriots, that people love this country, speaking the truth, calling out freaking the mainstream media and the Democrat Party for all their hypocrisy and lies that they're doing. And we're all reaping the terrible negative consequences of the Democrats taking Joe Biden seriously. Remember, you're supposed to take all these people seriously this November. It's a remarkable thing. You're supposed to take all these people that supported Black Lives Matter burning down our cities. You're supposed to support all these people's thinking and their narrative on how they supported Chaz and Chop taking over entire city blocks like Portland, Oregon. You're supposed to sit there and take all these people seriously that say, I'm going to vote for Joe again. You're supposed to take the people seriously that watched that debate and they thought their first inclination was, this guy's doing great. Let me take out my wallet and donate to Joe Biden. That was people's inclination. So what are they doing? They're going to vote for Joe for another 4 years. And what's Joe going to do? He's going to fund every other country than all of you. God, it's weird how we're protecting everybody else's borders other than ourselves. It wasn't a border security bill for the United States. It was a border security bill for Ukraine. And so what's Joey going to do? Joey's going to give Ukraine another $2.3 billion of your money. Why our infrastructure collapses. Why we got veterans living on the streets. The same veterans that Joe Biden originally had in hotel rooms, but removed them and replaced them with illegal immigrants. We got a lot of new people here, so we're going to rehash old news. Yeah, Joe Biden sat there and removed veterans that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm keeping it together because it pisses me off. We're a big supporter of our veterans here. That's why we got the hat on. I'm not a vet myself. I never served in the military. My grandfather was in World War II, was in Pearl Harbor. My dad served on destroyer, both on destroyers. Big supporter of the military family. This guy removed veterans out of the hotel rooms that served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and guess who he replaced them with? People from Afghanistan and Iraq. Let that one sink in. There's a possibility that, dude, no doubt you could have actually been fighting against people in Afghanistan, the Taliban, and you come back, served your country, saw your buddies die in combat, you're up in a hotel room because you're struggling with certain things, as anybody would, and Joe Biden goes, let me replace you with somebody that possibly you could have been fighting against and put them up and put your ass on the street. I don't care who you are. I ain't for that one damn bit, and that's one of the many reasons Joe Biden needs to get his ass out of office, because he sucks, and he has the balls to sit there and say, I support the military. I support... Really? Because early on in your administration, you sat there and made our service men and women sleep in a parking garage. So why'd you do that, Joe? And then you had the balls to send your wife and hand them cookies? Whoa, stop traffic. Man, it riles me up, dude. It riles me up. If you weren't aware, let's throw another stat out there since we got a lot of viewers. Joe Biden is giving the Taliban... This is real. This comes from a former CIA
individual whose main job was to go after terrorists. It was from the Sean Ryan podcast. We are paying the Taliban $40 to $87 million a week. People that sat there and killed American soldiers were giving them millions of dollars a week. Let that one sink in. But no, Joey has foreign policy handled, you guys. He's going to take care of it. Give him another 4 years. No, he'll figure it out. No, he's doing a great job. He's pulling out of Afghanistan. He's giving people our weaponry. He sat there and did a botched job in Afghanistan. The dude left billions of dollars of military-grade equipment to the Taliban that sold it off on the black market, which is why you have the Houthis that are being funded by the Iranians, which Joe Biden's given $10 billion to. He's funneling the terrorists, and he's going to sit there and say, don't worry, I got it all figured out. I'm for the American people. I'm protecting you. All the while, these people are being funneled through our southern border. It's all a web. It's all connected. So now he's going to sit there and fund somebody else rather than funding our border and securing that bad boy, of which there's terrorists that have funneled across. The U.S. will soon announce more than 3 points, so much. I can't even get the money out. $2.3 billion in new security assistance for Ukraine. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said on Tuesday during a meeting with the Ukrainian counterpart at the Pentagon. Austin said the latest weapons package would include arms such as anti-tank weapons and air defense interceptors, and would allow accelerated procurement of NASAMS. Now, there was a video, and I haven't actually confirmed this, so take what I'm about to say as a grain of salt. I don't want to manipulate or throw something out there that is wildly untrue. I heard that Vladimir Zelensky's wife is driving like a Lamborghini or some expensive ass, well over $100,000 vehicle. Makes you wonder where this money's going. Remember, $40 million just disappeared. We've had millions disappear. We don't know where they are in the audit. The Pentagon can't track it. Just gone. In the same way, you guys remember when 9/11 happened and there was $1 trillion that were being investigated, looking into? We don't know where it went, so hence the investigation. Never got an answer. $1 trillion gone. By the way, happened recently again. So we're just out $2 trillion that we don't know about. Billions of dollars being sent to other countries that are absolutely corrupt. We're sending billions of dollars to a country that was being looked in by Shokin, of which you had the prosecutor being ultimately fired by Joe Biden, who did a quid pro quo on camera saying, if you don't fire Shokin, who was looking into my son, Hunter Biden, for Burisma Holdings, and he was looking into the corruption of the Ukrainian government as well as other facets of the Ukrainian society. And then if you don't fire him, you're not going to get $1 billion. And so what do? They fired the guy. So a totally corrupt government is sitting there. We're just giving them billions of dollars of your money. I always emphasize your money. You can't sit there and pay for groceries. And I'm not hounding you. Please don't feel like I'm hounding you. I feel it too. We can't pay for groceries, fill up our gas tanks. Next time you go to the gas station, look at all the other pumps, you guys, and see how much money people are putting in there. You'll see $5, $10, 15. If you see a 50, that's crazy. That guy's killing it. People can't fill up their tanks. People can't pay for groceries. They're buying the basics. While we're sending billions of dollars to other countries, whether you're for it or not. Billions. Remember, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer gave Donald Trump shit for wanting to build a $3 billion border wall. We don't have the money, can't do it, sorry. Oh, you're crazy. Where are we going to get $3 billion from? I don't know. Where are you getting just $2.3 billion from? So easy to send $40, $60 billion here. Here's $100 billion, bud. Not a big deal. We'll write the check. Can't even sit there and take care of our own country. We're going to take care of everybody else. That's why we need Donald Trump. Put America first, man. Make America great again. We are a great country. And honestly, in my opinion, we still are great. Because no matter how bad things are, the one thing people can't take away from the American people is the fact that we're Americans. No other country can do that. No other country has the resilience that we have. Nobody. Even though we look weak, right? You got men acting as women, wearing skirts and all this stuff. At the end of the day, you know we mess shit up. And that's why nobody messes with us. That's why nobody messes with Trump, because he represents that. So we had reparations coming out, folks. I hope you're ready. Hope you're ready for reparations. So unbelievable. So California to spend $12 million on reparations in milestone move to address racist past. Unbelievable. So now you're just a co-signer to everybody's bad decisions. From student loan debt forgiveness to people that aren't even alive anymore that held people as slaves. I don't like slavery. I think it was evil. I hate racists. I hate racism. I don't care what the color of your skin, your ethnic background is one bit. I care about your character. I care about who you are as a person, because the amount of melanin you produce doesn't mean anything. But because somebody else's injustices of the past, those in the future, meaning us present time, have to now pay for it. You get to pay for somebody else's mistakes. In the same way, Joe Biden sat there and circumvented the Supreme Court to make sure that you are a co-signer to somebody else's stupid-ass student loan that they couldn't pay for. If you take out a loan that you can't pay for, I'm sorry to say, wasn't a good decision. And because you made a bad decision, I shouldn't be liable for it. I didn't make the bad decision. And why does it stop at student loan debt forgiveness? Why is it not a stupid decision to buy out and finance a vehicle? In accounting, you all know this, in finances, buying a new car is one of the worst, if not the worst, investment you could possibly make. I mean, you throw out thousands of dollars the moment you drive over that curb of the lot out of the dealership. So why are we not sitting there and paying off people's auto loans? A lot more people have auto loans than they do student loan debt. Why are we not paying off people's mortgages? Why does it stop there, you guys? You let me know in the live chat you're all patriots? I mean, is there a Democrat in here? Is there a Democrat that weaseled their way in here? Can you explain to me why the guy that you elected office decided that we're now responsible for everybody else's bad decisions? Why are we paying off other people's loans? Why are we paying reparations? So California plans to spend $12 million. Mind you, we don't have $12 million. We don't even have a surplus anymore because Gavin Newsom blew it out of the water. We lost money on that one as well. The dude blew a $100 billion surplus. And the reason why I keep bringing this up, guess who they want to replace Joe Biden with? Just take a guess. Gavin Newsom, you're absolutely correct. They want to replace Gavin Newsom with Joe Biden. I don't know who's worse. If the dude can't run a state, how the hell is he going to run a country? In the same way Kamala Harris destroyed California, she's vice president. Look what she's done. And these Democrats go, great idea. Let's throw Gavin Newsom up there. Let's put him on the podium. Great job. He's going to really kill it. Really. He's destroyed a state. He's going to destroy the United States. And we haven't done this in a while. Let's plug the book real quick. If you weren't aware, we got a lot of patriots. We have a book here. We do it all, folks. One man here, one man show. We got a book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. There's actually a deal going on Amazon right now for paperback. You can get a hardcover as well if you head over to Amazon. I think it's like $13 right now. There's a Kindle version as well. It's a real book. I did write it. And check it out. Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. You're seeing it in real time, folks. And it's a timely book, and it will always be timely as long as a Democrat's in freaking office. So Newsom here, marking a milestone in the state's efforts to atone for a legacy of racism and discrimination against Black Californians. It's tiring. The reparations funding in the $297 billion budget the California governor signed over the weekend does not specify what programs the money could go towards. Oh, let's just make it super generic. Let's just take other people's money and just throw it wherever we want. Isn't it remarkable when it's somebody else's money? The government doesn't care what they do with it, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Doesn't that just piss you off? You work so hard for that money, and they just steal it from us. And they say, who gives a shit where it goes? Nobody will care. They'll still vote for us. Drives me up a wall. The state legislature is weighing proposals to issue a formal apology for California's role in perpetuating discrimination against Black residents. Careful here. It's not about racism. It's not even about slavery, technically. It's just about any discrimination out there that's about some nameless, faceless, shadowy figure that nobody can name that came down and oppressed Black people somehow in the state of California. Just somehow did it. Well, it was redlining. It was this or that. You want to know how many generations it takes to get out of poverty? Yeah, some of us are in poverty. It's not hounding anybody. You want to know how many generations it takes? One. Somebody has to sacrifice. The question is what generation is going to make that sacrifice to fork the family tree in terms of wealth? Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And it's tough. It's tough, man. Like I said, look, I work 3 jobs, man. I work 3 jobs. So, I'm right there with a lot of people that are, I follow Dave Ramsey at the end of the day. That's what I'm saying. I follow Dave Ramsey. So when he says eat rice and beans, I literally eat rice and beans and turkey every day. I eat rice, turkey, and beans every day. And that's not a thing of like, oh, I got to give this guy money so he can eat. That's not what I'm saying. You just watching the show works. That's just all it is. The community is what's there. Like, Jesus, man, you're just eating turkey and rice. It's a choice. I need to get back to this. This is a crazy rant. We did a whole sidebar there. The state legislature is waiting for proposals to issue a formal apologies to Black residents, to create an agency to administer reparations programs, and to identify families whose property was unjustly seized through eminent domain. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people even that aren't Black residents that had their property seized from eminent domain. I mean, are we supposed to go back through every injustice that's ever happened to somebody out there, regardless of race, and sit there and pay them off for whatever injustice took place? I mean, it is an endless cycle, and it's a very dangerous precedent to set, in the same way of you paying off somebody's student loans, because now you've opened up the pathway to do so with everybody's student loans or whatever loan they took out. So it's a dangerous step, dangerous move forward. And so That's what we got, folks. Great show today. Holy Lordy, look at all the Patriots we got joining us here in Rumble. We got a lot of people over at YouTube. Got a lot of people watching. Rumble did us right, man. Isn't it remarkable that we can only have 300 to 400 followers, a lot more than that now on Rumble than we do? We have 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we have over 1,200 people watching on Rumble. But don't worry, YouTube's not doing anything. We exposed YouTube the other day. We showed them the chat. We showed everybody the chat. That video's up. If you guys enjoyed it, support us. We're here 7 a.m. I almost said standard time, Pacific Standard Time, each and every day. We're doing that over summer, so for the next 5 weeks, we'll be doing lives every single morning at 7 a.m., and then we're going to transfer to 6 a.m., which used to be our old show every single day, folks. If you want, we'll be back here today for the presser. So you all at the presser, we'll be there at the presser. We'll do the press conference. It's not up yet, is it, right? 10. So in about 60 and 100 minutes. So we'll go live for the press briefing. We'll be back. We'll definitely be back for the press briefing. And to watch Karine Jean-Pierre fumble through her words and lie to the American public once again, folks. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that join tab. Follow us on Rumble. We are on Twitter. All that fun stuff, folks. And heck, we'll see you in a little while here for the White House press briefing, I guess, with a lot of new Patriots, a lot of new followers, folks. Thank you so much. God bless. And I will see you later here on The Will Brad Show.